wickedness of man was great in the earth, and that every imagination and intention of all human thinking was only evil continually. And God looked upon the world and saw how degenerate, debased, and vicious it was, for all humanity had corrupted their way upon the earth and lost their true direction. And when I look at the world today, that applies to us today. It applies to this world today. The Lord saw the wickedness of man, and it was great in the earth. When the Lord had given Moses the 10 Commandments, and the 10 Commandments to me, when you read them, truly read them and take them in, it's just teaching you how to live a moral life, how to live a righteous, upright life. Just be good. Love yourself. Love those around you. Do good to everyone. This is what the 10 Commandments was telling us. But if you look out in the world today, the first commandment, which tells us that we are to love the Lord our God with our whole heart, our whole mind and soul. We are to have no other God before him because he is the only God. But we see people today that have put homes, cars, people, material things. They may not build a golden calf, but they have things before God. They have possessions before God. They grade their success in life on the material things that they have, whether it be the size car or year that they drive, or the size house that they live in, and what they have in their bank accounts. That's their success, or on how God is blessing them. You look at on the time that we can take the time to come out and worship and thank God for all that he has done for us, all that he has given us when we've asked him for certain things in our lives and he's given them to us. Do we take the time to say, thank you, Lord? It's not of my goodness that I have this. It's not of my wisdom and righteousness that I have accomplished all that I have. But if it wasn't for his grace, his mercy, if it wasn't for his love, where would I be right now? Where would I be today? So we give him thanks for all that we have. We see a repeat taking place on earth as it did in the day of Noah. Because it says that, as it were, in the days of Noah. You can read it in the book of in Genesis, where it tells us about how the people had just lost sight on who God was. They had totally turned their backs on who God was and how God had done so much for them. And what they did was begin to look in their own selves. And whatever they felt was right, that's what they did. And we look at that today. Whatever man feels, I have a right to do. I have a right to be. Who says? Who says that you have a right? But by the grace of God. But see, time is winding down quick. That hourglass is in its last grains. So people have got to be awakened out of sleep and come to realize that what was said back in Genesis is now in Matthew, because it says that as it were in the days of Noah, so will be the coming of the Son of Man. For just as soon as those days before the flood, they were eating, drinking, marrying, giving in marriage. They were continually doing the same thing. Noah taught, preached 120 days. And that seems like forever to some of us. 50 years seems like forever. 120 days, 120 years. That's a long time to preach a message, the same message. He did not deter. He didn't get a fancy title to go with it the next Sunday so to grab someone's attention. But that what God gave him is what he gave to those people for 120 years as he built the ark that God instructed him to do. God has instructed us to build his kingdom by preaching his word of what he gave to us. He's given us the opportunity over and over and over again. And people have taken advantage. I got time. I can have fun now. I have time. But who says you have time? Who has given you the right to say, okay, you have until this point to this point to do whatever you'd like to do, then get it right? We don't have that right.